In this week's video, we've got a gorgeous pixel art precision platformer without a jump button, we have a tactical shoot 'em up where shooting isn't always recommended, and we also have a Where's Wally style children's puzzle book brought to life in video game form. To keep up to date with all things indie gaming, please subscribe to the channel and hit that bell icon to get notifications so you never miss a video. Feel free to comment below on which of the featured indies most interest you, and also don't forget to click the like button if you enjoy the video, as it all helps feed the YouTube algorithm. Since Playdead's Limbo, there have been a proliferation of puzzle platformers on the indie scene, including its spiritual successor Inside, a game many see as the pinnacle of the genre. Out of Line clearly takes inspiration from these games, but it has enough unique elements to make it stand out from the crowd. It's got a hand-painted art style which is wonderful and reminiscent of Studio Ghibli films. The love and care that's been poured into the game by the developer Nerd Monkeys is clear from the off, and it comes as no surprise to me that it's won awards even before release. You play as San, a lone child trying to escape a dystopian world controlled by an ominous entity, and like Inside, the story is told through actions rather than words. It's down to the player to interpret it in their own way. It's a game about identity, and rather than being inside or a part of something, you're on the periphery and know very little about yourself. For me, the most unique thing about this game is the spear wielding mechanics. Rather than used for combat, your golden spear allows you to create platforms, operate switches and solve some rather imaginative puzzles. Along your journey to escape the oppressive mechanical regime, you'll encounter enemies, some will chase you, others will try to grab you from above. You'll also meet other people and befriend strange creatures who aid you in your quest, one of which becomes central to the story and provides many of the game's most memorable puzzle sequences. Out of Line is really well paced, with new mechanics introduced regularly, checkpoints are generous and progression is satisfying. There's very little hand-holding here, it's all about self-discovery and testing the limits of your spear. I particularly like the incongruity between the beautiful painted natural world and the industrial evil plaguing the land. Perhaps you could see it as a metaphor for humankind's ambition and greed. And from a creative and artistic perspective, I see Out of Line as embracing the typical ideologies of romanticism, a movement preoccupied with escapism, individuality and admiration for nature. But that's just my interpretation, I'm sure you'll see things differently. Out of Line is another indie work of art. It's a journey well worth taking now on the PC by way of Steam, and it's also due out next month on the Nintendo Switch. A game that has really surprised me this week is Labyrinth City, Pierre the Maze Detective. It's a puzzle adventure that plays like an interactive version of Where's Wally, or Waldo if you're in the USA. Based on a series of children's books by Hiro Kamigaki, you play the role of Pierre, a detective on a quest to retrieve the Maze Stone stolen by the elusive antagonist, Mr. X. Each level is a fully realised and animated version of pages from the 2014 puzzle book, The Search for the Stolen Maze Stone. On your adventure, you'll visit diverse locations, including a museum, a mysterious forest village, and even a balloon festival. The intricate level of detail really is a wonder to behold in this game. There's so much to see and do. Rather than have free movement of Pierre, you direct him along designated pathways as you search for clues. You have several key characters you need to track down, secrets to find, including treasure chests, pages of Mr. X's notebook, and also yellow stars that you always beat a ninja to. There's also a friendly polar bear who gives you a unique puzzle to solve in each area. For example, in the forest village, you're tasked with popping birds trapped in floating bubbles with a kite. It's all rather bizarre, but compelling stuff nonetheless. Unlike Where's Wally, it's not just a case of scouring the screen for particular objects. You have a starting point and have to find your way through the maze to get to the exit. The premise translates perfectly to video game form, and each world comes alive with the moving characters and atmospheric sound effects. Labyrinth City is a relaxing affair and a real change of pace from many of the games I've played and reviewed recently. There's also some lovely cinematic cutscenes in between levels, making it feel like you're playing an interconnected story rather than just a series of puzzles. It's a really polished game, a perfect blend of literature and video game, an interactive work of art you could say. It's available now on the PC and coming to the Nintendo Switch and also mobile platforms later this summer.
Never cast down, Pierre chases the odious baddie into the heart of the magic forest.
Now, I am very partial to a good shoot 'em up, but it's not often I come across one that is strikingly different to most the genre has to offer. Endo Crisis is just that. Billed as a tactical shooter, the game has some truly unique mechanics that make it feel like a puzzle or even rhythm game at times. You control a ship that has the ability to absorb bullets as well as block them with your shield. Firing your weapon drains your power or energy, absorbing enemy bullets allows you to top up your power, and atypically, not shooting is encouraged here as your power will slowly increase, and when it gets to 100%, your shield becomes active. Choosing when to fire, when to absorb, and when to defend is essential if you're going to survive this game. The 15 stages come in two main forms, side-scrolling levels and boss encounters, and each one throws something unexpected at you, maybe a new weapon, or even a change in perspective. Many of the stages are available from the start through an overworld hub, so you can approach them in whichever order you prefer, and return to a level later if you're struggling with one. The multi-stage bosses are really imaginative, and definitely require tactics to defeat. You have only one life, and if you die, you start the stage again. Although it doesn't feature randomised elements, playing Endo Crisis reminded me a lot of roguelike games. It's overwhelming at first, but practice definitely makes perfect, and you will get a little further each time. Endo Crisis is a bullet hell shooter with a difference. It's a frantic, methodical beauty that has that just one more go gameplay. It's available now on Steam and due for release on the PS4 next month. Let me take you back to the mid-1980s. Sega was looking for a mascot to rival Nintendo's Mario. Sonic at this point was still a twinkling, and so Alex Kidd was their throw of the dice. It had considerable success, particularly in Europe, and spawned several sequels, but sadly never made it past the Sega Genesis era. So here we are, over 30 years later, looking at a HD remake of the very first game in the series. Published by Merge Games, Alex Kidd in Miracle World DX attempts to do something similar to what Lizard Cube and .emu did with the 2017 remake of Wonder Boy 3: The Dragon's Trap, another Master System classic. And for the most part, it's a success. Like Wonder Boy 3, the developers provide the option to switch between the original graphics and a striking new style by the press of a button. It's a neat feature that caters to fans wanting nostalgia, but also for those that are new to the game. I spent most of my time playing the new graphics mode and only really switched to the original for comparison now and again. Whilst the look of the game gets a huge overhaul, gameplay actually feels similar to the original, and this seems primarily for things to mirror across the two graphical modes. And this will please some, but potentially frustrate others, particularly modern gamers. Now, controlling Alex Kidd is simple. You have a jump button and a punch, and that's it. It remains faithful to the original. Jumping is not particularly precise, it feels a bit floaty, and definitely requires some getting used to. This isn't necessarily a bad thing, but even from an Alex Kidd veteran, it took me a while to adjust. Navigating a spike pit and a couple of platforms is actually often more difficult than it looks. It all adds to the challenge, as the levels themselves are actually not very long, and respawn points are fair, that is as long as you've got lives remaining. This DX remake features plenty of content, including new levels, reimagined and remastered music, a classic mode, and also a boss rush mode. Bosses remain true to the original. You play games of rock, paper, scissors, with the winner being the best out of 3. Again, this seems a rather dated mechanic compared to modern platformers, but it is pretty unique. Alex Kidd in Miracle World DX is as true to the original as you could possibly get, and like the 80s classic, it requires both patience and perseverance to see it through to the very end. Whilst it's not in the same league as the reimagined Monster Boy in the Cursed Kingdom from a couple of years ago, it's a retro experience well worth taking. And who knows, if this remake does do well, we may see Alex Kidd return in an all-new adventure in the future. Check this one out now on the PC and all major consoles. Now, with so many precision platformers around these days, it's pretty hard to stand out from the crowd. And Super Magbot does the most unexpected thing for the genre. It removes the ability to jump. Well, jump in the traditional sense. Instead, armed with positive and negative polarities, indicated by red and blue colours in the game, you use a magnet gun to push, pull and propel yourself around levels. So there is a story of sorts. The cosmos is under threat by an evil presence known as Magsteroid, and it's up to Magbot to save the day. Cutscenes frame each of the 4 worlds of 20 or so one-screen levels, but gladly they don't interrupt the action. The game's mechanics take some getting used to. You control Magbot with the right stick and use the left stick to direct your polarity gun, which can be fired with negative or positive pulses using the left and right bumpers. Well, that is if you're using a controller. I know precision platformers require perfect concentration, but you really need to focus your brain when playing this one. It's not just a case of paying attention to what's happening on screen, you also have to think which polarity to use and what angle you need to direct your gun at. Maybe it's just me, but initially I died many times due to not being able to think quick enough. However, with a bit of brain training, you'll find you get into a rhythm after a while, and by the end of the first world I was bounding around levels with finesse. Well, that was until the game decided to throw some new mechanics at me. The level design is excellent. Death is always the player's fault. The instant restart allays any frustration, and the one-screen structure allows you to survey what you need to do at a glance, with the exit never really too far away. And if you want to up the ante even more, try out the Super Meat Boy-esque dark levels opened up after completing a world. With stunning pixel art graphics, a catchy chiptune soundtrack, plenty of hard-to-reach collectibles, and some truly unique gameplay, publisher Team 17 has another indie gem on their hands here. Super Magbot is out now on the PC and also the Nintendo Switch. And that's it for this week in indie gaming. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the I Love Indies channel and also hit that like button to help feed the algorithm. I'll leave you with a new trailer for Lilies, Quietus of the Nights, a wonderful Metroidvania getting its full release this week on the Nintendo Switch and also the PC. This was one of the very first games I featured on the channel back in January when it came out on Steam in early access. For those interested, check out the link in the description. Until the next video guys, keep loving indies.